Here's a very pretty song from Tom Paxton. It just has a small handful of chords in the key of A, but with a capo on the second fret I can play as if I'm in the key of G. And the whole thing really revolves around this chord shape. And I urge you, if you play G this way with your first finger on the fifth string, try playing this way, because there's a particular change in this song that we need to get together. It's this, it's G, and then my first and second fingers are going to play as if I were playing a C chord, but with the outer notes of my G shape intact. So I get something called C over G. You hear this a lot in American folk. You hear this with Dylan and Paul Simon, for instance, as well. And this change is really a feature of this song. So the C chord is really just a variation on the G. It's a lesson too late for the learning, made of sand. Then we get a D7, made of sand. So in the first bar we change halfway through to our C over G, and in the second bar we change on the fourth beat to C over G. It's a lesson too late for the learning, made of sand, D7, made of sand. And again, in the wink of an eye my soul is turning, in your hand, D7, in your hand. That's the whole of the verse. And in fact the D7 chord, generally he's playing the fifth string as well. I guess with the capo on the second fret, the open fourth string being the bass note of the chord, it's kind of not even really in the bassy part of the range of the guitar. So putting the fifth string in there gives it a slightly thicker, bassier, warmer sound. Okay, that's the whole of the verse. Let's strum it like this. It's a lesson too late for the learning, made of sand, made of sand. In the wink of an eye my soul is turning, in your hand, in your hand. Now the chorus kicks off with more of the same. This time we have a D rather than a D7. You could play D7, doesn't really matter. Still with the fifth string involved. Are you going away? And then half a bar each of C over G and G. Are you going away with no word of farewell? Will there be not a trace left behind? So the third bar is half a bar of C over G, half a bar of G, and now it's D7 again. So that's the fourth bar, and then we go on. I could have loved you better, didn't mean to be unkind. You know that was the last thing on my mind. So the whole of the chorus. Are you going away with no word of farewell? Will there be not a trace left behind? I could have loved you better, didn't mean to be unkind. You know that was the last thing on my mind. Now, when we get into the picking, we're going to see that the thumb is continuously alternating between the sixth string and the fourth string. So we need to get that together. When we get to D7 though, where the bass note is the fifth string, he's alternating typically to the sixth string with the thumb wrapped round on the second fret to create an F sharp. So we get this kind of thing. Are you going away with no word of farewell? Will there be not a trace left behind? Well, I could have loved you better, didn't mean to be unkind. You know that was the last thing on my mind. Okay, that's very much in the character of the American folk revival. You hear exactly the same thing in Blowing in the Wind, for instance, where Dylan plays D7 with an A bass alternating down to an F sharp. Is it D7 or D? But anyway, it's that. which is not really what you think of when it gets to a D chord. You probably think you'll alternate from the 4th string, which is the normal bass note, down to the 5th. But this sound is just a little warmer, 5th, down to the 6th, where we have to move something, probably our thumb, to the 2nd fret to create an F sharp, which is part of the chord. Now, the picking pattern that Paxton uses is based on a standard Travis pattern. It's modified a little because he comes up to the top string with the 3rd finger. I've transcribed note for note, just the first 2 bars, which is the intro, and we get this. Okay, notice that in the first bar we get this hammering on. 1st finger hammers on to the 1st fret of the 2nd string, 2nd finger hammers on to the 2nd fret of the 4th string. This kind of thing. And that's very much what he does then later on, just he'll slip that in. So if we play the verse with using this as the basis for it, I might vary this a little bit because this isn't normally what I'd do. We'll get something like this. It's a lesson too late for the learned, made of sand, made of sand. In the wink of an eye my soul is turning. In your hand, in your hand. Are you going away with no word of farewell? Will there be not a trace left behind? I could have loved you better, didn't mean to be unkind. You know that was the last thing on my mind. You got reasons aplenty to be going. This I know, this I know. For the weeds have been steadily growing. Please don't go, please don't go. Are you going away with no word of farewell? Will there be not a trace left behind? I could have loved you better, didn't mean to be unkind. You know, that was the last thing on my mind. You know, that was the last thing on my mind. And that's it.